So thank you all so much for joining me. My name is John McGreal. I am the regional recruiter for the University of Alabama, who works with all the students from Lake County, Illinois. I've worked with both Grays Lake Central as well as Grays Lake North for the better part of the last 8 years, with the exception of just one. So as you're going through the search process, please utilize me as a resource. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have about Alabama, about the college search process in general, just to ensure that we are, in fact, giving you what you need, right? So that you know what, you can, so you know what you're able to get. I'm sorry, what you need in order to succeed and have a great college search moving forward. With that being said, please know that this session is being recorded. That's so that it can be shared with your fellow classmates at Grays Lake North and Grays Lake Central, just so you're aware. But please let me know, again, like I said, what questions you have. And while we're getting started here, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't mind popping into the chat box and just saying what year in school you are, what major you're thinking about, or if you're undecided, as well as maybe what got you interested in the University of Alabama to begin with. So with that, I'll go ahead and dive on in. The University of Alabama is located in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is about an hour or so southwest of Birmingham. It's not too far away from Birmingham's airport, which is about the easiest way to get to Tuscaloosa is to fly into Birmingham, rent a car, or there are some public shuttles that will take you from Birmingham down to Tuscaloosa and will actually drop you right off on campus. We have historically been rated by niche.com as one of the best colleges, as well as one of the best college campuses for students at the university, which is great. And we do have a very vibrant campus community that takes students from all over the country and brings them together in one place to learn, which is phenomenal, as well as to share in community. We have a great campus community that really does a lot of work to try and welcome everyone in. From this picture, this is actually downtown Tuscaloosa. You can see right here. And there is a myriad of restaurants and different things you can take advantage of, including the Alabama Theater, the Bama Theater. We also have things like the Tuscaloosa Amphitheater, the River Walk, and the Black Warrior River actually runs right along the backside of campus. So there's a fair amount you can do in Tuscaloosa. It has kind of two parts to it. You have the quintessential college town atmosphere to it, as well as a pretty vibrant Tuscaloosa community area to it as well. I did mention that we do have students who come from all over the country. In fact, we have right around 38,000 total students who attend Alabama. Almost every county in Alabama is represented, as well as all 50 states. So even students coming from Hawaii are coming to our slice of paradise in Tuscaloosa. You can see on this map and on the slide here that Illinois is actually the third largest state represented on campus. We have about just shy of 2,000 students on campus from the state of Illinois, and a good chunk from Lake County. Probably every year we have 60 to 70 students from Lake County attend Alabama, which is huge. It's a great opportunity for you to be in a new environment, yet still have some ties back home and some connection to make you feel a little bit more comfortable while you're on campus. I am very proud of the fact that while we are known for being a football school, it's definitely not our largest focus. Academics is definitely the thing that we focus on the most, at least in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of my colleagues. Our average incoming student has a 3.77 GPA, has a 27 on the ACT, and we actually have more national merit finalists on campus than both Harvard and Yale. So take that, Ivy League, with about 256 national merit scholars on campus. That's as of 2019. That number's actually ticked up a little bit. We also do a lot of work to ensure that our students are academically supported. So all of our faculty are required to hold office hours. So you know right when you can go on and speak with them. They all are experts within their field, having a PhD for the most part, with a handful of exceptions, but usually they're in PhD track programs. And then the odd class here or there that's taught by a TA. But that's only about 5% of our courses are taught by teaching assistants. Most of your class will be taught by faculty. Also, the vast majority of your classes will have less than 120 students in them. So even though we are a large institution, we usually say we're kind of a large school with a mid-sized feel. So you have that opportunity to really be in a community that's going to feel a little bit smaller. In fact, once you're in the upper division of your program, we cap our classes between 20 and 50 total students, depending on the major that you're looking at. So I see some of you dropped in like nursing, economics, health studies, and a few things like that into the chat box. So thank you for participating that way. Our nursing program tends to be a little bit smaller, close to about 20 total students in the classroom. Economics tends to be a little bit larger, closer to about 50 total students. And engineering is going to rest a little bit towards the center there, between 20 to 30 students right now. And obviously, in our current enrollment situation, we are doing whatever we can to limit class sizes as much as humanly possible, as well as hold them in the safest way possible, while still offering some of that on-campus experience that that you look for when it comes to college. So I do want to talk about the admissions process. I like to get the business out of the way first, and then we'll talk about some of the fun stuff. For our application, it typically opens in July. And it looks like we have a sophomore, a junior, and a senior in the room here. So we're running the gambit. For you, Valerie, as a senior, that application is open right now if you have not already applied. As well as that application will open up in early to mid-July, prior to your senior year, for the other two of you in the room right now. That process is fairly simple. We look for you to send us your contact information, your high school information, your parents' information, as well as some demographics. And that's what we look for in that application. You'll notice there's no essay, no letter of recommendation. From there, we just need your transcripts from your high school, as well as a test score currently. We do still require that exam. However, given the constraints of testing services and just a general acknowledgement of the pandemic, we have instituted what's called a conditional review process for students without test scores. So if you do want to apply to the university and get your admission taken care of, we'll be able to do that for you. We'll just need you to send a test score by May 1st. So it gives you a significant amount of time to still get that exam score sent on into us. But you'll still be able to do things like pay your enrollment deposit, sign up for housing, take advantage of the priority housing date, and a few things along those lines, as well as apply for any scholarship opportunities that we do offer, which we're going to talk about here in a moment as well. Again, if you have questions as we're talking, please feel free to pop them into the chat box. If you feel comfortable taking yourself off mute, that's also perfectly acceptable as well for me. So I'll be more than happy to answer whatever questions you all have as we're going through here. A few other timeline things. October 1st is when our housing application will open on up and the financial aid paperwork is available across the country. In a state like Illinois, you have something called the Illinois MAP grant that's very time sensitive for applying for it. So if you do happen to qualify for that grant, you want to make sure you're filling out that application as soon as possible, because there's only a set dollar amount. And once that money is gone, it's gone. So if you qualify, you'll want to make sure you get that on. January 15th is going to be the biggest deadline for Alabama, and that is our competitive scholarship application due date. So you'll want to make sure that you are admitted to the university and have that scholarship application filled out by that application date. We're going to talk about a brand new scholarship set that we're offering this year, and this is critically important for that. So you'll hear me say that date, January 15th, a few more times as we're talking here. February 1st is our priority housing day. If you apply for housing by that point, you get to select your own housing assignment. March 1st is when you receive your final financial aid and scholarship package. And then May 1 is National College Decision Deadline Day. By that point, you decide, yep, you ways we're going to go. You let me know. You'll make my day. You'll say, no, I'm going somewhere else, in which case that's fine, as long as it's the right fit institution, unless it's Auburn, in which case you're dead to me. Joking, of course. But we will look for you to make that decision by May 1st. If you also applied without test scores, that's the date that we're going to need to see an exam score for. Traditionally, we admit students with a 3.0 GPA and a 21 on the ACT or a 1060 on the SAT. Now, we also operate on a sliding scale. So say you have a 3.3 GPA and an 18 on the ACT, you'll probably still would be accepted. And same for the equivalent on the SAT, which I think is about a 960. I also have listed here our cost of attendance, and I just want to make one quick note of that. This is literally the most expensive pathway through the university. All right, so assuming you're living in the most expensive residence hall, it's giving you the freshman unlimited meal plan, as well as it's assuming course fees for the College of Engineering. All right, so as you are thinking about that cost of attendance, know that this is kind of the highest amount that you'll be billed for at Alabama. But we do have some great scholarships that we're able to go ahead and offer for you. And new this year are these, competitive merit-based scholarships for our students. And as you can see here, they range from $6,000 up to $28,000 per year. They'll be based on your core GPA as well as your scholarship application. On that scholarship application, we look for all of your involvement at your high school, all of your involvement in the community, any work history that you might have, anything else you want to tell us. If you want to write us an essay about why you want to come to Alabama, we'll read it there. If you want to talk to us about some special circumstances in your life that you feel is important for us to know about, we'll read it. And that will all go into consideration for these competitive scholarships. One note is test scores are not taken into account for these scholarships. So if you're worried about that test score or you don't have one, this is the place for you to think about, and you should put your energies towards that scholarship application to give yourself the best opportunity to go ahead and receive that scholarship. I will also note core GPA is defined as social science courses, so that's history, psychology, sociology, economics, things like that. Science, any of your science courses, mathematics, as well as English. Those are the 4 sets of courses we're going to look at when we're looking at your core GPA for these scholarships. We will take into account your weighted scores for those as well. So if you took AP US history, we're going to give you credit for that in your core GPA because you've done the work, you've busted your butt. We want to reward you for that. We also have our merit, and one more quick thing. These are, for full consideration, you need to be admitted to the university and applied for scholarships by January 15th. That's a very hard and fast deadline for us. You want to make sure that you have that taken care of. Also, we will send your scholarship application off to the individual colleges as well. So engineering and business specifically tend to have some great merit-based scholarships in addition to what we offer, as well as all of the colleges have their own scholarship programs that you can possibly be awarded scholarships through as well. We also, of course, have our merit-based scholarships. This is the 3rd way you can receive scholarship money from us, ranging from $6,000 up to $28,000 per year. Similar to those previous scholarships I showed you. And these are, if you've had the opportunity to take the exam and you're pretty excited about that test score, you're going to have an opportunity here. So if you have a 3.0 GPA and a 27 or better on the ACT, or a 3.5 GPA and a 1200 or better on the SAT, you're going to automatically receive one of these scholarships, whatever you qualify for. Now, say you are in tier 1 of our competitive scholarships with a core GPA of a 3.7. You have a GPA of a 3.7 and say a 30 on the ACT. We're going to give you the highest of the scholarships. Whatever the best scholarship is that we can offer you, we're going to offer. Okay, so you don't have to worry about saying, oh, I want to be considered for competitive or I want to be considered for merit. We're just going to give you the scholarship that's going to put you in the best position and advantage you the most. All right. I usually get some questions about scholarships, so I just want to take a quick beat here and see if there are questions that you all have pertaining to these scholarships. All right, seeing none, we'll kind of keep on moving along here. But again, as questions do come up, please feel free to pop them into the chat box. I'll answer them as we go, especially if they're pertaining to what we're specifically talking about, or I'll answer them at the end as well. All right. Thanks for dropping in your programs to study, because that helps focus this section of the presentation a little bit. I will say we do have, actually, that's a great question before we shift to academics real quick. So you asked, just to clarify, can you apply for both scholarships? Yes. In fact, as long as you fill out the scholarship application, you'll automatically be considered for both. The merit-based scholarships you're considered for based just off your application for admission. The competitive scholarships you're considered for when you fill out that scholarship application. All right, you don't have to designate which one you're applying for. We're going to automatically consider you for it. That's a great question. Thank you so much, Valerie. We do have 200 plus majors, minors, and degree programs you can study at the university. Our top ones are business, engineering, nursing, journalism, and psychology, as well as we're very strong with pre-professional programs as well. So thinking pre-med, pre-health, pre-law, anything along those lines. So I'll dive a little bit into the ones that you all mentioned. The first one that came into the chat box was nursing. That is the only competitive program we offer at the university. There's about 220 slots per year for the College of Nursing. And in order to get into that upper division, there is an application process. They'll look at your university GPA, your nursing core GPA, your TEAS test score, as well as an interview and an application itself as some more subjective measures. And then once you're in the upper division for that program, you're going to have 4 semesters worth of clinicals that you'll go and do. All are in the greater Tuscaloosa area, so you're never more than about 15 minutes or so away from your clinical site, including one of them is at a hospital called DCH, which is literally right across the street from our College of Nursing. The benefit there is it's real easy for you to go ahead and get to that clinical site if you're fortunate enough to have one there. You literally walk across the street. Additionally, we don't have any medical students on campus. So all of our medical technology is there just for our nursing students. So our fully functioning SIMS lab, our medical records area, everything is just there for our nursing students, which is great. That SIMS lab can go from a patient having, something fairly minor like the cold or the flu, to a woman giving birth, and everything in between that could occur. So you'll have a great opportunity that way. We do have a fantastic economics program. We actually have 2 ways you can study economics. One is for the College of Business. It'll be more of a business focus in terms of how the economics of the business world, supply and demand, and how businesses leverage that economic data into their work. We also have a public policy bend to it as well for the College of Arts and Sciences, which is really designed for those who are thinking about law school or getting into policy work either at a state, local, or federal level. Health studies, there's a couple different avenues you can go through for that. We do have some great pre-professionals, like I mentioned, with pre-med. We actually have a 60% acceptance rate to medical schools nationally, which the only kind of set of colleges that end up coming in higher than that are going to be your Ivy Leagues and your near Ivy schools. We also have things like athletic training, nursing, which we previously talked about, as well as kinesiology and a pathway for physical therapy. And then we do have a great College of Engineering. You'll notice I haven't mentioned about a limit in any of our programs with the exception of nursing yet. And that's because nursing is the only one that does. Engineering, there's no cap to the number of students in the engineering program. It is one of our more robust colleges and has a lot of opportunity for students to do experiences within cooperative learning. With the co-op, we're able to actually go and work within a company for 2 parts of a year, a semester and a summer, which is huge. It gives you a great opportunity that way to really learn, earn a little bit of money, as well as build that resume for yourself. Additionally, our faculty actually have kind of redesigned the college, so it's more competency-based instead of major-based. Meaning that if you're working on a specific system, you could have mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, and aerospace engineers kind of all working on the same project for their major. So you're going to get really that feel of what the real world is like as you're working on a product team that's helping to design a product, not just how it physically works. So you'll have a great opportunity that way. Again, all of our programs are fairly strong. We're a top 60 in the nation institution, so you're going to have a pretty great opportunity that way to learn. And there's going to be internship opportunities and research opportunities across the board for you, depending on your program of study. We do have the Honors College at Alabama, which I do encourage a lot of students to do, especially if you qualify for it and you're interested in it. Even though you may think, oh man, I've done all these AP courses, I've done all these honors courses, do I really want to do more? Honors at Alabama is unique. It will not take over your life. You have to take about 18 credit hours within honors in order to satisfy the requirements for honors graduation, which amounts to about 1 class per semester. They also are classes that you would be taking anyways. So it is your engineering coursework or your nursing coursework or economic coursework that you would be taking that you're just instead contracting for honors. It's basically like taking AP US history instead of US history, as opposed to an additional set of coursework. Here are the benefits. You're going to have smaller class sizes. All honors college courses are limited to 50 total students. Faculty are specifically curated from faculty on campus to be honors faculty, as well as you'll have access to honors advisors, honors residential communities, as well for that living situation. You also have seminar courses you can take that are limited to 15 total students and give you the opportunity to dive deeply into specific topics, whether they're related to your major or not. Some of those classes include things like conspiracy and intrigue, which is taught by a former member of the CIA, which is both exciting and utterly terrifying. But it's a really cool class that's taught every single year. They also be topics within history, science, current events, math, English. So they kind of run the gamut there. If you're saying, hey, this sounds cool, how do I get in? We do look for students who have a 3.5 GPA or better. Again, a weighted GPA will reward you for what you've done up to this point. As well as we do also look for students that have a 30 on the ACT or a 1360 on the SAT. There's an application and an essay component. If you're admitted conditionally, you still will be able to apply to the Honors College. They're just going to look a little bit more closely at that application and essay component, as well as if we remove the testing requirement, that's how they'll make their determinations based off of the application and essay, as well as your course rigor in high school. All right. Any questions about all that? And I'm kind of dumping a lot of information here at you. So again, if there's questions, just feel free to add them in the chat box and I'll be sure to answer them as we go. I do also want to touch on some campus resources I think are important to mention. First off, we do have the Career Center, which will help you with internships as well as internship placements, because they do a career and internship fair every single semester on campus. We have Fortune 500 companies that come to campus all the time, including Apple, which I love that because their CEO went to Auburn, but they don't recruit on Auburn's campus, they recruit on ours. As well as like Lockheed Martin and other Fortune 500 companies trade on the stock exchange are all. So you're going to have a great opportunity that way to make those professional connections. Additionally, the Career Center will help you with your resume as well as your cover letter as you're going through those application processes, not just for internships, but also for your career post-graduation. It's also the Capstone Center for Student Success and the Student Support Center. Those are tutoring services that you can utilize on campus. The Center for Success is more going to be geared towards general study skills and general support as you're going through your time at the university. And then the Student Support Center is going to be more like direct tutoring, right? So if you're in a biochemistry course, for instance, and you're having trouble with a specific concept, you can go and get tutoring for that specific major. We also have things like the Writing Center, and I definitely encourage you to take advantage of these resources. They really can help you out. After a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, I still can't tell you what a dangling participle is to save my life when it comes to writing an essay. So I use the Writing Center all the time when I was in college and in my grad program. It just is a little bit of an added benefit for you and a way to make sure that you're going to have some success. We also have the Office of Disability Services. So if you have a 504 or an IEP plan, you could bring along that on campus and they will help you work with faculty who will be a little bit more engaged with your specific accommodations that you might need. Additionally, we do have the Student Health Center, and they not only have doctors and nurses, but they also have psychiatrists and psychologists. So anything from you've got the flu to something more serious health-wise to you need some assistance with your mental health as well. You're going to have that support at the university. Before I shift gears away from academics and into student life, are there any questions I can answer for you all about anything I just covered? Awesome. Well, with college, I like to talk about the 3 days and the other 4. Here's what I mean by that. A typical course load at Alabama is about 16 credit hours. You need about 128 of these credit hours in order to graduate. So if you do the quick math, 128 divided by 8 semesters is 16. So if you're taking 16 credit hours a semester, you'll graduate on time. That also equates to about how long per week you're going to spend in the classroom. So 16 credit hours, 16 hours a week in the classroom. In order to be successful in college, we say you should study an hour for every hour you're in the classroom. So there's another 16 hours. And in order to be healthy, doctors tell us we should sleep for about 40 hours a week, right? So if you're doing the quick math with me, 16, 16, and 40 is 72 total hours, all right? Or 3 days. So after 3 days, you've gone to class, you've studied, you're kicking butt in your classes, and you've slept, which leaves you with 4 whole other days in which to do other things, right? It's a whole lot of time with a whole lot of no parents because they're 850 miles away in Grayslake, Illinois, and you're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's exciting, all right? So how are you going to fill up that time? First off, your study time is going to ebb and flow a little bit, right? Some weeks it's going to be lighter, some weeks it's going to be heavier, especially if you got an exam. But first things first, you're going to have to live on campus. You can't commute from Illinois. It's too far. You'll never make it. You'll spend your entire day in the car driving back and forth. So you're going to want to live on campus, which is fine because we require you to do it anyways. There are 3 main styles of residence halls you can choose from. Traditional style, where you're sharing a room with a roommate, common lounge space, common bathrooms, things like that. Suite style, apartment style living, where yourself and 3 friends each have your own room. Share 2 bathrooms, a living room, and a kitchenette area between the 4 of you. As well as you have single gender housing. So if you are a female student and want to live in an all-female residence hall, you can do that. Sorry guys, there are not all male residence halls. There are some all male floors though. In order to apply for housing, it's a pretty simple process. It's here on the screen, so I'll let you see that, and I'll just give you a few quick tips. If you apply for housing prior to February 1st, you can select your own housing assignment. So if you know, hey, I want to live in those suites, which is about 70% of our housing options, you can have a little more certainty in that you're going to live in that housing setting. You also can choose one of your roommates, which is exciting. Whether you're in a suite or you're in a traditional hall, you'll still only be able to choose one of your roommates. So we just want to make sure that there isn't like a group of 3 and there's just an odd person placed in the room with you, that everyone's at least rooming with someone they're hoping to room with. All right. But it's a pretty simple process, as you can see here. 3 steps. Once you're admitted, you can submit enrollment deposit, then you submit your housing application and deposit, and then in late April, early May, that's when you can go in and select your room. All right. The only other requirement we make of first-year students is you have to take the freshman unlimited meal plan, which just gives you a meal for every time the dining halls are open in the course of a given week. All right, so as you are as you are exploring it and thinking about what that's going to look like, you're going to have those meals. You don't have to worry about where your next meal is coming from. You'll also have $650 in Bama cash that you can use in restaurants both on and off campus, as well as you're going to have about 15 to 20 guest meals that you can use. So if family comes to visit, or a friend, or significant other, or whomever comes to visit, you're going to have those as an option for yourself to give them. Sound pretty good? We also really want you to discover your passion at Alabama, okay? And that's going to come in the way of not only your undergraduate major and your career, but it's also going to come by way of clubs and organizations. This is where you're really going to start to fill up that time, right? So you got a few things listed out here. You've got, Onyx, which is a club on campus. You've got the marching band, the stock car team for engineering, and a whole slew of others. There's about 650 plus student clubs or organizations you can get involved with. You can see all of them at thesource.ua.edu, which I did drop that link in the chat box. But you can see all of them there and search for them. And they range from student government to philanthropy, to people who like to go play disc golf, to people who are interested in advocacy efforts around a certain topic, to a club called the Other 49, which is specifically for out-of-state students. That's a way to make sure you can get involved and get used to the area in Tuscaloosa. Every year we do a big day called Get On Board Day. Basically, it's kind of like going to a college fair. We're able to walk around and meet folks from different clubs and organizations and find a few that you want to get involved I always encourage students get over involved first and then scale back because you may find, hey, yeah, this club was really cool, but maybe I don't like the people who are in it as much. Or you may see, you know, organization you're like, oh, I don't know, but that person I talked to was awesome. And you'll be able to find your niches that way. We do also have Greek life on campus. We have 66 social Greek organizations, including 19 sororities and about 32 fraternities. And it's about a third of our population. Now, it's definitely not the end all be all of student involvement. We just talked about all those great clubs and organizations on campus, but this is a good opportunity for you to get involved at Alabama as well. For the guys, that process is a little more laid back. It happens during the first semester. Women, you actually move down to campus about 2 weeks prior to school starting and go through that process there. Each society has not only the social aspect, but also academic and service components to them as well. So you will have service hours you need to complete as well as a GPA requirement. In fact, our Greek students have on average a higher GPA than our non-Greek students. And through all of this involvement, we're really hoping that you can find a way to become a legend in your own right. And so I've got a few folks listed up here. Miss Houston, Miss Martin Green, Mr. Ingram, Mr. Davis, who all have gone off and done some great things in their respective fields, as well as authors like Harper Lee and Winston Groom, who actually wrote Forrest Gump. That's why Forrest Gump in the book and movie went to Alabama, because that's where Winston Groom went. A former president of the Dr. Pepper Corporation. So you have a lot of different people who have come through and gone off to do some great things. And we're hoping that you obviously have that same experience at the university. One thing that I personally like to suggest and kind of push and at least have students think about is the idea of studying abroad for a semester or even a year if you wish. I know my experience in Ireland was phenomenal. I was able to spend a good chunk of time in Ireland, take an accelerated course and tour and take a trip around the island and meet just a lot of fascinating people. So I know it was a really cool experience for me. So I always like to bring it up for students. We offer programs in about 60 different countries. There's more than 300 unique programs that you can study. And we offer them everywhere from, week trips over the summer to full semesters to full years that you can do. And you actually can search for these not only by location, but also by major, if there's internship opportunities, what language the instruction is going to be in. So if you are fairly fluent in another language and you want to get instructed in a different language, there's an opportunity for that as well. About 90% of all of our trips are either UA faculty led, which you see that's about half of them, or they're exchange programs with other institutions. The benefit there is all of those scholarships we talked about a couple of minutes ago can be applied for your tuition during that semester, which means that it's going to cut down on that cost for that study abroad trip. So usually that's a big barrier for students. It's just the cost of that program. So we're going to be able to give you that opportunity at Alabama as well. On campus, in terms of athletics and staying active, there's a lot that you can take advantage of. We have 2 major workout facilities that you can use that have indoor and outdoor running surfaces, cardio machines, free weights, weight machines, things like a rock climbing wall, the water slide, a swimming pool, a lazy river, lap pools that you can utilize to stay active that way. We also do have NCAA D1 athletics if you think you're going to be able to play at that level, or if you just want to watch and attend them, right? Obviously, our football team gets a lot of press, but we do have a pretty great softball team that's consistently competing in the World Series, or at least the tournament leading up to it, as well as our baseball team, and rowing and track and field, cross country, tennis, you name it. We're going to have that there for you. We also have about 30 to 40 club teams on a given year that are still competitive. You still compete against other institutions, but you are, but it's not NCAA, so it's a little less rigorous of involvement. So you have that opportunity that way. We also have intramurals that you can take advantage of that allow you to, again, still be active within the sport, but you're just competing against other students at the university. So with that, I do just want to say, hey, make sure you stay in touch. My contact information is here on the screen. That's my email address, john.bama@ua.edu, as well as my phone number is right there. And that is a cell phone, so that's talk or text, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I'm usually pretty good at responding within about 24 to 48 hours, but especially on the weekend, give me a little extra slack, and we'll get back to you kind of on Monday. But with that, I do just want to kind of pause and see if there are any questions that have come up that I can answer for you all. Again, feel free to use the chat box. Feel free to